What's up to Lion Talk Live? So we love you too, buddy.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
I love nothing more than watching Lions Talk Live every morning. Woo!
Woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining us here today. A Lions Talk Live bi-week Friday morning show edition. And you know what? I'm running on some fumes here today. I didn't get a whole lot of sleep. Mama Bear Thornton, my mom, she had a little bit of an accident last night. Had to take her to the hospital. Didn't get out of there till pretty early this morning. So please pardon me if I'm maybe not as full of energy as normal. So anyways, we're going to end today's show. We're not going to have any big burning main topic today. We're just going to talk about some news or notes of the day. Some of them I'm sure we've already heard. We get it. It is trade deadline season. Everybody and their mother's got, this person being traded to the Detroit Lions, that person going to be traded to the Detroit Lions. And, is there some validity to a few of these? Maybe. Some other ones I'm sure we can probably rule out pretty exponentially and quickly. Max Crosby isn't coming to the Detroit Lions. Trey Hendrickson isn't coming to the Detroit Lions. Whoever else you want to say probably isn't coming to the Detroit Lions. But I do think there are some potential trades the Lions might make. We'll talk about that during the 5 headlines now. We'll talk to Curt the Hitman Steele during after the main topic of the day and everything in between. So, all right, we're going to get into this show, rock and roll and all that kind of stuff real quick before we get into all that news and information. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Making that march for 15,500. We're 102 subs away from that. If you can help out with that, that surely would be great, and I thank you very much. Also, if you have a half second of time, doesn't cost you a dime, reach on over, hit the thumbs up button, the like button, hit all the buttons. We try to get every episode of the show between 200, 300, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Last but most certainly never least, if you are perhaps somebody who's considering buying or selling property anywhere in the great state of Michigan where I reside or in the continental United States, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text. You see the number on your screen, 269-998-2384. We can have a quick conversation how you can use over 30 years in the industry, save you time, save you hassle, save you money. Go from there. All right, with all that done, out of the way, let's get the show rocking, rolling, and G.I. Joe going into 5 headlines now. All right, we got 5 glorious headlines coming your way, starting off with pros and cons of Detroit Lions trading for Bengals cornerback. SI.com, Emmett McCosty with this one. There are a few cornerback situations, trades to Detroit that I actually think could happen. There's a few different ones out there. I'm not going to list them all. We'd be here for 10 hours, and I don't have that kind of time today. Plus, like I said, I'm running on fumes, man. But as far as Taylor Britt, the Lions and CBS Sports brought this up. I think it would be an ideal fit for the team just because he is such a physical, man-to-man heavy corner. There's a whole lot to like about him. He can get a little handsy, but if you're going to play as much man-to-man as the Lions want to play, I think that's just an inevitable part of the situation. With that being said, I know everybody's going to refer to last Monday night's game. Hey, Lions didn't really get called for any holdings or anything like that. It is what it is. Officiating crews change from game to game, and their perception of what is a call, what isn't a call, changes. I think he has a ton of upside. He's 26 years old, doesn't have a big contract. Is he going to start for Detroit? No. Could he add a whole lot of versatility to the Detroit Lions secondary? Yes, he can. He can play multiple different positions. He's got some size as well. He did have 11 penalties in 2024 and also allowed the 6th worst passer rating when targeted per Pro Football Focus. You have your opinions on Pro Football Focus. I think we all agree you can take them with a grain of salt. But there are a few other cornerbacks in the league the Lions have been linked to potentially trading for. He's one of the ones I think isn't going to cost a ton to acquire. Could he add more to it? You know, if you would have asked me before Monday Night Football, I would have said, yeah, Lions trading for a corner makes a whole lot of sense. But now you look at what's kind of emerged out of that Monday Night Football game, I'm just not so sure the Lions are interested in adding a cornerback to it. When you think about Terrion Arnold's going to be back sooner versus later, Reed's going to be back sooner versus later, and then you look at Rocky Singh, you look at Nick Whiteside, you look at how everybody played. I guess the question ultimately resides around MCDC himself, Kelvin Shepard. Do you think you have enough parts in-house to get through the rest of the season, obviously in the playoffs? At some point, you're trading just to trade, I think, because I do think you have a lot of emerging options in-house. We'll see what they do in regards to the cornerback room. All right, next of the 5 glorious headlines now. We got the NFL trade deadline. Who can be on the move? Question mark. A to Z Sports NFL newsletter. Multiple writers with this one. What this story centers around isn't just the Detroit Lions. It's about every NFL team. Could they make a trade? Could they be giving somebody up? You get it. They try to analyze all the different teams in the NFL. And you know what? They do bring up a valid point, I think, with the Detroit Lions. Anybody who's watched recent Super Bowls understands there's a commonality, maybe in at least the last 5 to 10 years with all those teams. You got to have a lot of guys who can get after the quarterback and put pressure on them. The further you move in the playoffs, obviously the teams get better, the quarterback play gets better, and their ability to put up points goes through the roof. So what do you have to do to combat that? You need to get to the other team's quarterback. I'm not going to go through all 32 teams who they think is the most valid trade out there for that particular team. We're just going to focus on the Lions since this is a Lions show. But Lions trade for edge Jalen Phillips. And I know we've been talking about this for a couple weeks now. Miami Dolphins are clearly interested in trying to acquire more draft capital while freeing up some cap space. Their team isn't going anywhere this year. They are selling already. They're talking about selling more. And the Lions, could you add someone like Phillips, even if it's just a one-year rental, which ultimately I think that's what would happen with them, put them out on the field, and then have an even better pass rush. Lions pass rush, we all came into the offseason and then the regular season. Every single one of us wanted them to get more on the defensive line to get after the quarterback. The problem is we are one of the better teams at getting to the quarterback and putting pressure on it. You've seen what happened with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield, MVP front runner, maybe the best quarterback currently in the league right now, the way he's playing. And we had him rocked and rattled, running for his life half the time because of the size of the Detroit Lions line. We all want the uber fast guy who can get after the quarterback, but that's not what Kelvin Shepard and Dan Campbell want. They've built this line in a particular way to make it almost impossible to run on. And mobile quarterbacks this year, I'm sure we're all applauding that this year, just aren't killing us like they had in recent years. Phillips, though, while we bring up all that Detroit does currently have, he would add another layer, another guy you could rotate in. Can he give us 15 to 18 snaps where you just go, cojones to the wall, trying to get after the quarterback on obvious passing downs? If they do go for him, I think everybody in Detroit's going to be happy about it. I got to imagine Kelvin Shepard would be pretty happy about it because you'd have yet another able-bodied person to put on that line to generate heat on opposing quarterbacks. A to Z Sports summarizes this story by saying it's probably going to cost a 5th to 4th round pick, somewhere in that range to get him. If you can get him for that, again, on probably a rental, we'll see what they do, but I don't think anybody watching this show is going to be complaining about it. All right, next to the 5 headlines now. Detroit Lions 2025. Defensive mid-season grades. Christian Boer, SI.com with this one. The Lions defense, how, in your opinion, before I even read any of this off, what would you say is their overall grade at this point in the year? Let me know your thoughts. I'm not going to give you mine. I just want to hear your thoughts. But let's get into Christian Boer's story. Defensive line, he's going to give them a B. The defensive line, we were just talking about it in the prior story. I think they've superseded most Lions fans' expectations. And now that you get Aleem McNeil back, you've seen what he could bring in that Monday Night Football game. He was causing the ruckus and causing the pain on the interior offensive line for the Bucs. Often, getting left, and I was surprised by this early in the game with single block coverage from their offensive line, but you could see just drive number 2 or 3, that changed. They started double teaming him, double and triple teaming Aiden Hutchinson. I think it's going to cause a lot of situations as Liam McNeil gets healthier and healthier. I get it. You're going to have more and more guys on the opposite side get heat and pressure on the quarterback. That's why if they were going to trade for someone like Jaden Phillips, or when Marcus Davenport gets back, or Ahmed Hassanin gets back, or Alaquin Muhammad keeps getting healthier with that knee, you're going to have some guys get some one-on-ones. They're probably going to win it. But his great, I don't think there's any doubt that Aiden Hutchinson leading the league in pressures. He's by far, I think he's like 10 pressures over the next person on that list too. And don't forget Tyler Lacey, another guy we picked up for nothing, getting pressures out of him, getting stuff out of hhim. Roy Lopez has probably superseded to a certain degree expectations, but give that defensive line a lot of credit. Linebackers, he gives them a B+, and I'm surprised it's not an A or at least an A-. But hey, I guess you're splitting hairs. The linebackers, we talk about it regularly on this show. In my opinion, doesn't have to be your opinion. I think it's the best trio of starting backers in the NFL. And this is more or less what Board kind of outlines in his report or grade. Alex Anzalone, you know what you get with him. Jack Campbell has become maybe the best Lions linebacker since, I hate saying since Chris Spielman, but probably put him up there with Chris Spielman, Mike Kofer, if you guys remember Mike Kofer. And there's been other ones out there for sure that have played incredibly well. Although Mike Kofer, if you guys sometimes ask who's one of my favorite all-time Lions players, it would be Mike Kofer. But you guys get it. He's playing at an insane pace, never comes off the field. He is a 3-down backer. And then you have Derek Barnes, who a lot of Lions fans, when we re-signed that contract, had raised eyebrows, I think would be safe to say. Probably nobody's questioning anymore. He affects the passing game. He affects the run defense. He gets after the quarterback. These guys each have some different strengths, but their strengths together, man, they make them like the Justice League. They're out there just dropping the law on the bad guys. All right, secondary is going to give a B-. I would probably agree with that. They've been good this year, even though Monday night's game might have been great, and you didn't even have any of the starters out there. But what the secondary has been pretty good. There have been moments you get penalties, you get this, that, and the other thing, but if you're going to play the aggressive style, the Lions clearly want to play on defense with that secondary, they are going to get beat at times. They cause a lot of issues for every quarterback they face when they're in their man-heavy coverage schemes, sprinkle in some zone here and there, but they cause a lot of issues that most quarterbacks just don't see regularly. That's why it's an issue. But when they do get beat, they do give up some penalties, and that's probably why he's getting him a B-. All right, so that's it for this particular report. Let's go on to the next particular report. Detroit Lions get uplifting news ahead of Week 9. Heavy story by Ann Erickson. Hey, who doesn't like good news? And we all probably want to have some good news. When it comes to the good news in this story, it comes to the next next game of the regular season. Sounds like the Minnesota Vikings have plans to start J.J. McCarthy. Why does this matter? Well, he hasn't played in a while, and he's more or less a rookie quarterback. Kevin O'Connell commented on prior to last night's game against the Chargers that he was close to returning. The ankle's almost all good. Sounds like their plan is to have him back for the Detroit Lions game. If he does, I think if you're the Lions defense, we talked about being aggressive, talked about being assertive, they're probably going to unleash the fury on poor JJ. Now, we'll see what he does. He is a big athletic quarterback with a bit of an arm, but he's more or less a rookie. He's hasn't played in, I want to say, about a month. Maybe that's not entirely accurate, but you guys get it. It's been a minute. I think Kelvin Shepard and the defense, with some of these guys coming back, coming off the bye week, they're probably going to be licking their chops, whoever the quarterback is for the Minnesota Vikings. But if it is JJ, and I know he holds a special spot with a lot of people watching the show because he played for Michigan, won the national championship. But let's be real. When we face them next game that we play, he is the enemy now. Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings coach, clearly wants to try to develop him, see if they've got something or if they need to move on from him. That's the tough part when playing younger quarterbacks. You need to give them reps in order for them to succeed, to develop. But you know what? You could be impacting your team by doing so. I don't think Carson Wentz is really the answer for him. His days appear to be behind him in the NFL. And JJ, you're going to have to go through some learning curves. I think the Lions could have a real good fun time on defense, especially against the Minnesota Vikings, who do appear to be struggling a little bit. All right, last of the 5 headlines now. Where Detroit Lions stand in playoff picture. Detroit Lions on SI. Vito Sharita with this one. If you would have guessed at the start of the season that week 7 we would be in the playoff race for the number 1 seed, would you have been happy with it? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let me bring this up here if I can get to load. Nope, that's not the one I want. All right, well, somewhere on my computer I've got it, but apparently I can't locate it as easily as I thought. Anyway, for those who don't know, Lions, they are in the playoff hunt, no doubt about it. They are trying to get to the number 1 seed, and they are behind the Green Bay Packers for that currently. Now, where will they end up by the end of the season? I guess there's really only one way to be able to tell and know, and that's just to get to the regular season finale. But Lions right now, they're in the playoff hunt, and they've got a real good shot at the number 1 seed. We all know in about a month from now, you're going to have the Lions play perhaps one of the biggest Thanksgiving Day games ever, and let that sink in. When they face the Green Bay Packers, hey, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, and somebody better be the Detroit Lions. If they get this win, I think we all can agree the Lions are going to have a real good shot at getting it. Not just the NFC North, but they're going to have a good shot at getting the NFC overall, and that would be 2 straight years with the number 1 seed. Let that sink in. Did you ever think you'd live in a day and a time when the Lions would be the number 1 seed potentially in the NFC for 2 straight years? I never thought that, but you know what? That's exactly what we got in front of us. The Lions have that good of a team where it is potential. And then I guess if you get to the number 1 seed, well, how do you guys feel about the Lions? See if I can get this thing to load correctly, though. Hey, there you go. All right, so as you can see, the Green Bay Packers are 4-1-1, San Francisco 49ers 2, Philadelphia Eagles 3, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 4, Detroit Lions 5. But as you can see with everybody really above number 7, 5-2 seems to be about the norm up there. Packers 4-1-1. Hey, sometimes you get lucky with a tie. But then you think about the Packers' upcoming schedule, the Lions' upcoming schedule. There's no easy hauls for anybody out there. We're all going to face most of the teams are going to face Tampa Bay. Most of them are going to face the Philadelphia Eagles. So a lot of this by the end of the season is going to be righted out. You know, you're going to have an accumulation of wins, and it does appear the Lions legitimately, especially as they get more and more healthy, have a real good shot at being the number 1 seed in the NFC. You get that, you get back to home field advantage at Ford Field, and maybe not as beat up as you were last year without a bunch of coordinators looking to take off. Hey, the Lions might just win this thing, get to the Super Bowl. All right, all that done, set out of the way. There isn't really a main topic of the day today, so we're going to get to the Duke Crew comment section before Curt the Hitman Steele joins us in, I don't know, about 10, 11 minutes or so. All right, let me scroll to the top of the screen, and I'm still scrolling. I'm scrolling a little bit more. All right, JDC, morning all, back at you. JDC, tick, tick, tick. Hey, you got to be ticking in your mornings. Johnny L, good morning, folks, and a pleasure to see you as always, my friend. Johnny L, good morning, JDC. Detroit Matt, good morning, Duke Crew. I enjoy watching the Vikings get the belt last night. For a fan base that likes to talk, they're awfully quiet right now, just praying for this, Steelers, Ravens, help us out. That would be great. Yeah, if they could do that, we could get some help from both the Steelers and Ravens. You got to imagine Aaron Rodgers is going into that game with a little bit more panache under his skin. He wants to do a few things, so hey, we'll see what shakes out. JDC, morning at ya. Johnny L, Bo Booth, good morning, Duke Crew. Art of the deal, exclamation point. Woo! Yeah, and I get what some of you guys really get over and kind of don't want to hear about all the trade speculations, but it's sort of like going into the draft, or draft season. You're going to have tons of mock trades, people speculating about free agent deals. It's just part of it. So don't anybody, not that you are, Bo, but don't anybody hopefully get too upset about it. Stephanie, what do you got? Good morning, all. How about them Vikings? Yeah, how about them Vikings? Question mark. I thought it would be more competitive of a game than it was. It was not very competitive for multiple reasons. I didn't get to watch much of it, if any of it, just because I was trying to help my mom out and stuff. But I did, pay attention to it a little bit here and there. Patrick, man, talking about somebody I haven't seen in a hot second. Greetings, salutations to you all. After this past week of play by the Lions, I don't think Brad is in too big of a hurry to add anyone. Maybe for the offense, but even that is up in the air. To your point, I know we talked about it on yesterday's show. To me, the biggest need, and I agreed with it when the news kind of hit me in the morning, I think it probably is the offensive line. Maybe another receiver. I don't know. But the secondary, I guess it comes down to, if you're one of the coaches of the Lions, do you believe you've got enough help in that secondary? The linebacking core with Rodrigo coming back, and I get Cunningham's going to be out for a month, but when he comes back, that linebacking core, I just don't see how you could make it any better. Defensive line seems pretty loaded. Secondary, if you believe in Whiteside and some of the other guys, then I think they're pretty loaded. So where do you add? And the only thing I could really think of is offensive line. I'd say Big Eddie. I think we are the top NFC, top team in the NFC right now, but Green Bay is still in front of us. Yeah, we've got a few teams in front of us for sure, but a lot of this is going to write itself out as time goes on. The nice part is with the win over Tampa Bay, you have the tiebreaker. You beat Philadelphia later this year. You have the tiebreaker over them. San Francisco, man, you look at that division. They've got some pretty tough competition. That's going to write itself out over time for sure. All right, let's get back to the Duke Crew comment section. Henry Moore, good morning, Coach Dan, Duke Crew. What a team. What a podcast. Exclamation point. What a time to be a Lions fan. Woo! Good to see you as always, Henry. Big Eddie, kind of crazy. It is a little crazy that you could potentially be the number one team in the NFC and be whatever it was, number 5 on the list here. Johnny L., I believe that Brad Holmes will make a move over too. It is very possible. I think he's always looking to add talent. Anymore, good morning, everyone from Bristol, Virginia. Well, hopefully you have a good time there with the family. I know you're on the travel there. Johnny L., good morning to you. Henry Moore, Trey Tipston. What's good, everybody? Question mark. I'm still wondering, how do we keep all of these new guys in the secondary when the starters come back? It's a fair question, man, because whoever you're talking about back there, you've got some size now. You've got some athleticism now. You got some more depth. To me, it just comes down to a coach's prerogative. Who do you have the most faith in? You can love these guys all you want, but at the end of the day, you got to make a business decision. Who do you think helps the team more? Anymore, thanks, Johnny L. Same to you, Kerry. Morning, everyone. You can have one of the best receivers in football and still not show up. That is true. That is true. James Allen, good morning, Dan and crew. How's everyone doing today? Pretty good, James. How are you doing today? Johnny L., Henry, do you go to any NASCAR races? We'll find out. Patrick, the Vikings are really out of sync. Not that bothers me at all, but I don't think that all of their problems are quarterback related. They just look very unprepared. I didn't really get to watch the game last night. I've seen some parts of the other games. It does seem like there's some timing issues in their offense, and that's multi-layered. It's never just one position group to blame for that. But the Vikings, the fact that they only put up those 14 points or something like that, I think it speaks volumes. The Chargers are very beat up, especially on their offensive side of the ball. And the fact that they were able to dominate the game like that, I was kind of impressed. Just, it's sounding like we have Haas and Ron, along with others, back within the next few weeks. Is that right? It is, yes. So week 9, as you guys all know, when that passes, Ahmed Hassanin can re-sign with the Lions, can't actually return to week 10, but you guys get it. He can re-sign after week 9. Rodrigo, you're seeing videos out all the time that he's basically progressing along. I think he'll be back sooner versus later. Davenport will be back sooner versus later. There's probably a real expectation Terran Arnold will be back this next game against the Vikings, although, I don't know that yet. And then we'll know Brian Branch will be back. Maybe Kirby Joseph. Depends on really how much rest they want to get that PCL. James, I didn't know that Dan has a subscriber-only channel now. No, it's just a subscriber mode on the channel, not a separate channel. So, someone asked for that. Yeah, you got it. Anymore? No, Johnny L. Just doesn't interest me since Dale crashed. Oh, okay, NASCAR. Gotcha. Trim Reaper, good morning, Coach Dan and the Mighty Duke Crew. Exclamation point, let's go Lions. Woo! Always blowing it up in the morning, my friend. Anymore? But I've toured inside Bristol Motor Speedway. Hey, there you go. Drake, what do you got? I think you were right, Coach. We've got to get a new left tackle and maybe center sooner versus later. I don't know about Decker. Yeah, I gave the news, whatever it was, yesterday or something like that. It sounds like the team has some level of concern about dissipating or lowering strength returns on that shoulder. How much can rest therapy, recovery, training staffs help out with that? That's beyond me because I don't know the exact details of what's going on with the shoulder. James, I wonder who is possibly getting traded from the Lions. You know, that is a possibility. If Brad is going to make some deals, it might not always be just for draft capital. Could be that some people in-house, the Lions have a lot of depth. And I guess it just comes down to, in your opinion, do we trade the depth that we have to acquire one or two players that they feel like will be a bigger boon for us? And, you know, only the staff can answer that. Riley, good morning. Duke Crew, 100%. Let's go. Let's go indeed, my friend. Good to see you this morning. Just greetings, salutations, Duke Crew. Going to be a long weekend without our teams playing. Laughing out loud. I'm going to wear my chair out, rooting against Green Bay and Chicago. Hey, just have fun with it. I mean, that's part of the fun of a bye week, is that you can sit and watch other games, specifically by rooting the Detroit Lions on, by rooting against those particular teams. All right, James Allen, that's a great question. Is there anyone on our team the another NFL team wants and willing to trade for that Holmes would depart with? Maybe some of the secondary guys. I don't know. You know, like some of the newfound depth that we have. I just don't see them giving up anybody on the defensive side. I just struggle to see anybody on the team in general that Brad Holmes would part ways with, but maybe I'm wrong with that. Johnny L, never thought I was a fan of Dale. That did stink. However, I've been a fan of the new rules. It ruined NASCAR as far as I'm concerned. Okay, yeah, I don't know enough about NASCAR to know one thing or the other. I know they go in cars on tracks, and that's about the extent of it. Any more? Absolutely, those new rules stink to high heaven. Okay, JDC, Johnny L, true that. Jim, good morning, Coach Dan, Duke Crew. Thank you, Chargers. Hey, we'll take all the help we can get, right, Jim? Lauren Van Esch, good morning, Coach Dan, and the world-famous Duke Crew. The Duke Crew is infamous worldwide. You can find them anywhere. Mark GT, Lions Talk Live, the perfect remedy for the bye-week blues. Hey, we might have to market that and put it in a bottle. James, the Minnesota Vikings experienced a beatdown of epic proportions last night at SoFi Stadium. They were going to try to exact revenge against us next week. Could be, man. Could be. I just think they're running into a freight train, the freight train that is the Detroit Lions. Susan, Coach, are you doing any live cast Sundays? Probably not, man. No, I probably won't. I just don't know enough about the other teams. I mean, I know some stuff about them, but I wouldn't be able to call out names easily just by seeing numbers. So, yeah, just have a Sunday off to watch the games. Let's see. Next one up is Johnny L. What was the final score of the Vikings game? I want to say it was like 37-14, something like that. Leonard, Gibbs will destroy the Vikings if that D-line plays like last night. We'll see if they do. That'd be good for Gibbs and the Detroit Lions. James Allen, Johnny L, 38-10. Okay, that was close. Thank you for that, James. Man Bear, good morning. Exclamation point. And back at you. Johnny, dang, I'll go with that. Kerry, 37-10. All right. Steve, what's up with that game last night? Many looked bad. They did look bad indeed. Johnny L, Patrick, Johnny L, 37-10. Lauren, all I know about last night's game is Cameron Dicker, the kicker, got me 14 points in fantasy. Hey, nothing wrong with that. And again, I don't do fantasy football. I played it once or twice. Just when basketball season hits, between this and my actual jobs, it gets hard to keep up with all that stuff. And I often didn't, update rosters, and people got mad at me. See, Pat, Chargers have all the injuries on their offensive line. I have seen that they were pretty beat up there for sure. James, Minnesota department dependent on Justin Fields too much, or Justin Jefferson too much. That could be accurate for sure. Tori Apple, good morning, Duke Crew All-Stars, and always good to see you in the chat. Kerry Edison is a one-man show. He might be accurate. Johnny L, does Minnesota have anything on offense? I mean, they got some wide receivers. I think they got some nice parts on their offensive line when healthy. Running game's not bad. It's just for whatever reason, it's not fully clicking. Chuck, greetings, salutations, Coach Dan, the Duke Crew, exclamation point. This bye period is going to be a big for us. I think so too. You're going to get a lot of guys back, a lot of guys healthy. The down part to having the bye right now is that, man, you've got to go months without any real rest for these guys. All right, guys, it's about that time to bring forth the legend himself, the man, the myth, the guy that you all know, love, the special guest of the day, the host of the most. He's got his own statue in front of Ford Field. Let's go see what Professor Steele has to say about everything.
What up, dude?
Professor Steele, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, man. First of all, let me say prayers for your moms. You know what I'm saying? I hope she feels better soon.
Yeah, me too, man. I mean, it was a nasty fall she took, and she ended up breaking her shoulder and got pretty cut up pretty good. But seems like she's going to be okay, but might have to spend a little time recovering. But thank you for that. Speaking of breaks and falls, what happened to the Minnesota Vikings last night?
The Vikings, so to paraphrase one of their old coaches, they are who we thought they were. They have it. They're not a good team. Like if you look at the pieces that they added during the offseason, like it's not conducive to what they were bad at. So like basically whatever they were bad at, like say the interior defensive line, they weren't good against the run. Well, guess what? They added defensive linemen that are not good against the run. So you look at that game last night, 207 yards rushing by the Chargers. And that's right up Jim Harbaugh's, wheelhouse. He wants to run the ball, play physical football. Their secondary is not good. Like, for all the bells and whistles of Flores' defense, once you figure it out, you figured it out.
Right. When you look at the Minnesota Vikings, they've got a quarterback situation with Carson Wentz. Obviously, JJ's young, inexperienced, hurt all of his rookie year, hurt most of this year. What do they do with JJ against us?
Man, with that offensive line is going to be pretty much the same thing we saw last night. I mean, their offensive line is not, great. They have individual pieces, but as a whole, they're not. They're not a great unit. So, I mean, you look at the amount of sacks they've given up this season. I think with the 5-sack performance last night, they put some close to 30 for the season. Like sacks given up. So that's not a lot of protection for the quarterbacks. And you look at Wentz got hurt again last night. He was already nursing that shoulder. And it's not like the Chargers are, what I'm saying? I know they have Khalil Mack, but they're not like boasting one of the best, pass rushers in the league. So they are who we thought they were. I mean, they just got bullied around last night. I know it was a short week for them, but you think they're gonna we bring it back Aaron Jones, and I think, man, they had 34 yards rushing last night. So not a great performance by them on the offense or defensive side of the ball.
When you look at the Detroit Lions, we get it. They had a legendary performance on Monday Night Football with that secondary, the who's that defense. What do you think now that you have all these guys in house and potentially TA coming back? We're assuming Kirby Joseph will be back, whether it's this game or the game after that, who knows? And then, Reed, in the foreseeable future, he'll be returning. What do you do with all these now live and needed bodies?
You hang on to as many as you can. I mean, the Legion of Whom was buzzing on Monday night. I saw that name on Reddit, man. That was great, and it's been floating around out there in the Twitter sphere. But yeah, the Legion of Whom was out there balling, and I think you hang on to as many guys as you can if you keep on the practice squad and keep some on the active roster. I mean, like, because these guys, they've gotten the game-proven game reps. So you look at them. Now, I won't say that this. I won't commit to this. I don't expect that type of. Say if we have another injuries again, I don't expect that type of performance out of them again. Like, it's going to be some down. Play just because of the fact that, and you said it earlier, the type of defense that we play is aggressive. It's not a man, and you're saying you're gonna play. You're not gonna play the level of talent that we played against the Bucks, where you got a banged up, Amika Ibuka and a banged up Mike Evans, and you're playing a couple of rookies most of the game. So I think, would it be smart to add another corner? Possibly. Because of the fact that you want a proven name back there, if we can't get all our guys back healthy here in the next couple of weeks. So I know that can even get Reed back on the practice field until after week 9. So, but if you can get Branch and Kirby and TA back, it's going to be a big boost to that defensive secondary.
There was a report that, yeah, I know I ran on the show, whatever it was, yesterday, the day before, about the Lions. We all get it. This time of year, you're going to get speculation about trading for this guy, that guy, or whatever. In your opinion, what would make the most sense for Brad Holmes, MCDC, to try to acquire for this team going forward?
If you're looking at a 1-year rental, I'm looking at Reek Woolen out of Seattle, big, physical, likes to play a lot of man. He's not fitting out there in Seattle right now with the scheme that they're playing. So, I mean, he's possible. I mean, if you're not looking for anything, because I know he's on the last year of his rookie deal, and he didn't get his 5th-year option picked up. So it's a 1-year rental. I mean, like, you bring him in, you boost that that secondary with a proven name and what he can do, what he brings to that defense. So as long as he can prove, I think the big question mark with him right now is that the fact that they're saying that he doesn't like to, play run support, which he is actually pretty good at. So, you're hearing these rumors, if
Sure.
he could come in and do that, man, that'd be a big pickup for the depth of our secondary.
Taylor Decker. We've seen all season so far. He's been limited in practices. I get they're trying to protect that shoulder. You've got some reports saying that whatever's going on with the shoulder, it's a diminishing return. He's losing some strength or power in it. What do you think the Lions do with him? Should they look for another offensive lineman to fill in for him, or does he just ride this out this year?
I think they're gonna ride him out to him as much as they can. It would be, nice to have some depth on that offensive line at tackle. I think long term, I mean, I think the last games, Skip's just coming back. So, I can't expect 100%, effort from him, just coming back to his first game back on the active roster. But I do believe that he's capable enough of toting that side, what I'm saying, as long as we give him the help that we needs when we playing, against a decent pass rush. But I think Skip can hold his own, especially in the run game as well. I mean, you look at some of the performances that he had last year. He proves that he can hold it down on that left side, when called upon. He's our swing tackle. I mean, however, what I'm saying, is it always smart to bring somebody in? Of course, man. You always want to have, a backup plan, contingency. But I think that they're going to ride Taylor Decker until, because he's going to be one of the guys. He wants to play as long as he can play until he can't play anymore. And then, and I hate it for him, because you look at him and Ragnow, these are guys that were here at the bottom, and now that the Lions are on the upswing, their bodies couldn't hack it anymore. So
when you look at the Lions, in your opinion, you compare them to the rest of the NFC, where do you think we ultimately stack up as of right here today, as far as the NFC? Number 1, number 5, number 29th in the NFC?
I'm gonna go with numero uno. That's where I think we are. Especially if we're 100% healthy and the defense can play like the way they've been playing, and we can, figure out how to get that rhythm on offense. It's gonna be hard to beat the Lions.
Right. So when you look at the Lions, as far as the weaknesses of this team, if you were to say Philadelphia, Green Bay especially, what do you try to exploit with the Lions lineup right now?
If it's a team that's out there right now, of course, it has to be the secondary. I mean, because of the fact that you still got a bunch of, the Legion of Whom back there. But we get healthy back there, man. You bring in back in Kirby and Branch, and then you can, saying that's a big help just to the guys that will be out there. The fill-in corners. You put those 2 all-pro type safeties back there, man. It's a big change in the defensive backfield. So, yeah. I would love to see those 2 guys back in the in the lineup. So hopefully we can get them back. We know Branch has come out their suspension, but he did have a foot injury as well. People aren't really looking at that. And then of course Kirby, saying he's back in Detroit. I said this the other day on our show. I don't know if people really notice that if you have an injury during the bye week, you're not going anywhere. You're going to, the NFL rules are that you have to go and rehab during that time. So if you're on the injury report, you're going to be in Detroit. And you look at Kirby Joseph, he was banged up, Brian Branch banged up. So I think that training room's pretty full right now with all the guys that are trying to come back and the guys that had the little nagging injuries before the break happened.
We did talk about the secondary a little bit, some of the Legion of Whom, etc. If in your opinion, out of any of these guys, who did you like the most that you think could stick around and throughout the season really be a long-term answer to some of the depth for the Detroit Lions?
Has to be two guys. Has to be Millette and Whiteside. I like what Whiteside was. Now he's young and of course this is his first NFL action pretty much, but the moment wasn't too big for him. He's got good size too. Yeah, he's a bigger corner. So I like what I saw out of those two guys. Millette just playing hard-nosed football. That interception was just great, man. He just went and grabbed it. I don't know how people think that's not an interception when he had control of the ball before Otten did. Like, he had control. He had it against his chest. Otten was still reaching for the ball when they went to the ground. So, but great play by him, man. And I just like what those guys bring to the table, man. Whiteside is a young guy. He's got size. He's got strength. He's got speed. And I like what he has a knack for the ball. So I like what I saw out of him.
Yeah, and when it came to the interception, and they showed the replay, I know people were talking about it or whatever. I was like, he doesn't even have a hand on it. He's got his elbow on it, where our defender had two hands on it. So I didn't think it was very difficult call for the officials to make when they reviewed it. But
no.
To each their own. All right, let's talk about Jared Goff, because I know there are some fans that, even though he's listed as an MVP front runner, still aren't on board with him, still think the Lions should, replace him. He didn't have his greatest game against the Bucs, but is that more credit to the Bucs defense, or maybe Goff had a bad game?
I guess I think I would say it's a mixture of both, man. Say what you will about the Bucs defense giving up the 24 points, but the Bucs defense is excellent. They are a really go after it type of team, and for us to leave some of the meat on the bone out there, it wasn't just what the performance of the Lions. I can't even say just Jared Goff. It was the other players as well. Like, you look at that, man, that Bucs defense is good, and like, they blitz well. It's a very well coached defense, and say what you will, like, sacks have given up, the strip fumble by Odabi, man. Those guys were balling, man. They were out there playing. So for as much good as we did, the Bucs defense did well as well. Did good as well. So I can't take any credit from either side. A little bad play and a little good play on both sides.
All right, last one I got for you, and then I know you got to get out of here, and et cetera, but there does seem to be a growing amount of the fan base that wants to see J-Mo get the ball more, et cetera. If you're MC DC, if you're John Morton or Goff, do you force the ball to him, or you just where are you with the Jay Powell offense this year?
Absolutely not. And we saw them try to do that earlier in the year, and it did not work. You don't force the ball to anyone. You let it come. Teams are going to have to stop doubling him because they're going to get ate up underneath. Look at the first half that St. Brown had. You know what I'm saying? It's going to stop eventually because of the fact that it happened last year. You know what I'm saying? They didn't double J-Mo enough, and he went loose on him. 58 catches for 1,000 yards. That's ridiculous. So they're making a concerted effort to take him away this year, but it will stop when the other, other players are just putting up the numbers.
Yeah, I'm with you. When I watch the tapes and try to just watch from a coaching perspective, you can see the vast majority of the time he's doubled. And if you're putting two on him to stop the deep shots or mid shots, it just opens up so many things for St. Brown, Gibbs, Laporta, or whatever else. How big of an issue is it where you've got so many offensive weapons, you can't keep everybody happy week to week? And I get fantasy football probably drives a lot of this, where fans are like, well, I need him to get more. I need him to get more. What do you do as the coach to make everybody happy?
Man, you play your game. You do what you need to do to win the game. That's all you need to do, man. You don't worry about either prop bets or gambling or fantasy football. That stuff's it's fantasy. Real life is about wins. Real life is about getting to the Super Bowl. And he's playing his role. I love what J-Mo does out there, man. He blocks. He blocks. I know he wants to get more involved because you can tell, man. The guy is very passionate about playing football. He's kind of tapping his thumb like, yeah, but I want to get involved. But when you have defenses that are keying on him and making sure he's not taking the top off the defense, it's just going to be harder for him to do that. Yeah. I put the onus on Morton to call more, short to intermediate routes for J-Mo. You know what I'm saying? Get mix them in that way, and that will loosen up. I mean, send Sweet Tea, Isaac Tesla, on some go routes and see what happens.
All right. Well, he is Curt the Hitman Steele. As always, I want to thank you for joining us. Why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody where they can find you, support your content and your channel.
Man, thanks for having me on, Dan. Of course, man. Good morning to the Duke crew. Hey, I'll be on here in a few minutes at 8 a.m. on the Boss Up Ball Out podcast. We're live today. We're talking about what games you should be watching this weekend during the bye week. So make sure you tune in and check it out. We'll look at some playoff pictures at the end, but we're going to look at what you should be watching during the bye week. So come in and check it out. We're going to have some fun, be interactive, and have a good old time talking Lions football and NFL this weekend.
All right. He is Curt the Hitman Steele. He's schooling us all every day of the week, telling us what we need to know. Why don't you go ahead and give him a shout out, Duke Crew, and hey, don't forget to hit his like and subscribe buttons. Curt, as always, thanks for making a little time out of your day.
Thanks for having me on, Dan. See you guys soon, Duke Crew.
We'll see you then. All right, Duke Crew, I've got a couple minutes left, and then I got to get out of here. I'm running on gas, and that gas is departing quickly. Motown Sports, keep the healthiest DBs. I like the way you're thinking. Lauren, what do you got? Good morning, Coach Dan of the Duke Crew. Exclamation point. After watching the Vikings-Chargers game last night, when we meet them next week, it should be a cakewalk. Go Lions, one pride, worldwide. I like the way you're thinking. I'm going to hold you to that. Timothy, what do you got? 55-yarder? All right. The Rebel, come on, Duke Crew, smash all the buttons. Exclamation point. Thank you for that. As always, hit the like and subscribe. Johnny L, I'm going to just listen for the rest of the show. Nothing wrong with that, man. Kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. The Rebel, that's what I'm saying. We have so many solid players returning. We do have a lot of good players coming back. Queen Mary, Johnny L, we need your grit this morning. Yes, indeed. Always. Maleficent Fisher, greatest concern is a solid backup for Decker. Didn't like how often he checked that shoulder throughout the game. It would be more than what was shown on TV. Was there a live and watching recording later? Yeah. We'll see how much the bye week, the 2 weeks off for trainers to work with them really helps things. We'll have to wait and see. Kevin, greetings, salutations, Dan and Duke Crew. Exclamation point. Can I get a woo for my birthday? Love the podcast, and we love you too. And for your birthday, here you go. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Kevin, from everybody on Lions Talk Live. Timothy, 55 years, a fan. Nothing wrong with that. Glad you're sticking around with the fan base. JDC, Johnny L, I missed the Godfather pick of yours. There you go. Mary, happy birthday, Kevin. Have a great one. Lauren, oh, but Jesus, Tampa Tim came back. Did he come back? Is that him? I don't know. I'm not sure. Same old soup. Go to NASCAR at Michigan International Speedway every year. Already have my seats for next year. Go enjoy it, my friend. I hear it's a good time. The Rebel, but Brad does know how to fill holes with solid, decent players, so I wouldn't be mad if he did make a move. I don't think any of us will be mad if he makes a move. Now, will he do it? We'll have to wait and see. Carrie, happy birthday, Kevin. There you go. The Rebel, will Wentz even make it to start against Lions? That I don't know. Kevin, thank you, Carrie. Mary Smith, can't wait for a meet to meet Justin Jefferson so he can dust him again. Yeah, he did a great job with him final game of the regular season last year. Gary, what does it say about the Chargers' depth? Get it done. And yes, indeed. Kevin, good morning, Curt Steele. Michael, Vikings, that cheer ruined the team. Might be. Kerry, McCarthy's going to have a new experience going up against Hutch and McNeil. That is probably accurate. Lauren, good morning, Professor Steele. Kevin, thank you, Mary. Thomas, there will be 0 permanent player trades, just not Brad thing. A minor deal, maybe. Remember, our picks basically are the following round. All right. Vernon, good morning, Coach Dan, the Duke Crew. Exclamation point. Coach, the villain is a busy man trying to make deals. Coach, what is a dream deal? Man, I don't know. I guess right now, just where they feel like the biggest depth pieces. We've got a lot of depth on this team. What could you upgrade? Maybe depth and offensive tackle or left tackle for the Lions or right tackle, I guess. The Rebel, good morning, Professor Steele. Oh, yeah, we'll take that with some exclamation points. Thomas, our biggest issue right now is left tackle. We cannot go into the playoffs with, I love the guy, but can't get into the playoffs with Skip. We'll find out. James, praying for your mom, Dan. Thank you very much, man. Yeah, I'm going to check up on her after the show, but hopefully she's getting some extra sleep. It was a long night for her. Mary, Coach, it wasn't your mom would not have you so tell Mom she's got a whole lot of kids. She does, man. I'm the youngest of a whole big family. Thanks, Mom. We'll send a lot of love from Lions Talk Live crew. I'll let her know the Duke crew supports her and is thinking about her. Thomas, the DBs proved we do not need any help there. Our linebackers are getting stronger. That's probably accurate. D-line the same. Our offensive line is the only concern concerns you greatly. Fair enough. Lauren, thoughts and prayers for your mom, Coach. Thank you very much. Hassani Manley. Good morning, Coach Dan of the Duke crew. Sorry for missing your broadcast. I was at my range house. Was no internet. Fell down. Hi for all my friends in Lions Talk Live. Hey, no worries, man. Just you're welcome here anytime you want to pop on in. Thomas, what the Tampa game proved, exclamation point. What a healthy D-line can do. Pressure makes everyone better on the D. You're not wrong with that. Mary, don't want any other them to go anywhere? Yeah, I don't want any of them to go anywhere either. Reality Mike, sorry to hear about your mom fall. Kudos to you for being loving and caring son, helping her out. Yeah, I saw your sister down there too. You might want to give her a call, just so you know. Thomas, hip check the like, y'all. We'll give that a hip check and yeah, like and subscribe, all that stuff. Thomas, Goff didn't play bad. The O-line played average, not great. He was pressured all night. Bucks D is no joke. No, give a lot of credit to them. James, now you know why the Lions got rid of Jeff Okudah. He kept getting beat by San Diego. He did, man. I did hear about it. The Sarge was texting me some updates on the game and let me know that Okudah didn't do well. I said this when Okudah was drafted by the Lions. I thought he would be a phenomenal free safety, maybe strong safety. But they keep trying to play him at cornerback, and everybody does. I just don't think it's in his wheelhouse at this level. Thomas, sorry, exclamation point, but great wide receivers get the ball forced to them because of their talent. When you see any single safety, put Trey's one side, J-Mo on the other, bomb. All right? Ray, well said. Every star on our team will have his day in the spotlight. We will have a team full of stars that care more about winning than stats. I'll concur. James, we need a new left tackle to replace Taylor Decker and a new center too. Yeah, and I don't know if we'll be able to do it this season, but probably in the offseason they'll address that. All right, I'll be there, Professor. I think we all will. Dolo, grab Powers Johnson for center. Grab Jalen Phillips, defensive end. We'll see if they do. Trim River, have a great day, Coach and Duke crew. Exclamation points. Well, oh, yeah, I'll take that. JDC, happy trails. Go Lions victory. Bo Booth, happy trails. Duke crew, all done dusted. See you tomorrow. We'll see you then. Mary, have a great day, a great and blessed day. See you all in the morning. We'll check in with you then, Queen Mary. Thomas, James, next year, I believe the new center is playing right guard, and Frazier will be the right guard. We drafted the left tackle. Okay. I agree. Professor Steele, J-Mo will be fine in time for sure. Have a blessed birthday, Kevin, says the Rebel. David, rip ace. All right. Let's see, sign service. What was Frazier's injury? Knee injury, although I don't know the full extent of the knee injury. Trim River, get well soon, Mother Danodamas. I'll let her know. The Rebel. Ali made a huge difference. Yeah, without question out there. His burst up the middle caused them problems. Kerry, happy trails. Enjoy your day. Go Lions. Woo! Back at you. Thomas, trust me, J-Mo ending up with 35 catches per year. I would demand a trade in a year or two. We are willing to pay talent $25 million to run pass routes and block. That's asking too much. Fair enough. Ace Freely from Chris. Okay, yeah, I knew that, but a couple days ago. Anyways, all right. Oh, a couple more here. Greetings, salutations, Dooku. Back at you, Southwest. Lauren, happy trails, everyone. See you in the next Lions Talk Live. We'll see you then. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get on here, get some rest, check up on my mom, all that kind of stuff. Hey, if you would, before departing, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. If there is breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be a good human being. Do something kind for somebody you don't know. See you on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody. You're still here? What are you doing here? It's over. The show's over. Go home.